I found friends.
I found sports.
I found my passion.
I found family.
I found my calling. I found a place to call home. Discover what you can find at Marietta by visiting marietta.edu today.
Coming up today on NewsCenter 15, Trump is looking for a new czar.
And police search for a 14-year-old girl's murderer.
We'll have these stories and more. NewsCenter 15 starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to Tuesday's edition of NewsCenter 15. I'm Jared Ruffin.
And I'm Landon Santini.
Top area news this afternoon. New Zealand lawmakers voted Tuesday overwhelmingly in favor of new gun restrictions during the first stage of a bill they hope to rush into law by the end of next week. The bill would ban the types of weapons used by the gunman to kill 50 people at the two mosques last month. The bill was backed by both liberals and conservatives, with only a single lawmaker from the 120 that sit in the parliament voting against it. The vote was the first of three that the lawmakers must pass before the bill becomes law. Police Minister Stuart Nash said far too many people have access to dangerous guns, and lawmakers were driven by the need to ensure public safety. Nash also said that we're also driven by the memory of 50 men and women and children who were taken from their loved ones on the 15th of March, and their memory is our responsibility. We don't ever want to see an attack like this in our country again, and we are compelled to act quickly, seemingly drawing a distinction with the United States, where gun possession is constitutionally protected. Nash also said that in New Zealand, gun ownership remains a privilege and not a right. The bill would ban military-style, semi-automatic guns and high-capacity magazines, and it would also ban semi-automatic shotguns that could be fitted with detachable magazines and pump-action shotguns that could hold more than 5 rounds.
As he threatens to shut down the southern border, President Donald Trump is considering bringing on a border or immigration czar to coordinate immigration policy across various federal agencies. According to 4 people familiar with the discussions, Trump is weighing at least 2 potential candidates for the post, including former Kansas Secretary of State Chris Kobach and former Virginia Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli. According to the people who spoke to the Associated Press on condition of anonymity because they were not authorized to discuss the conversations publicly, while immigration officials would welcome an advisor focused specifically on policy across the various agencies, the names being floated are likely to spark backlash and criticism. Kobach, an immigration hardliner, ran a failed bid for governor promising to drive immigrants living in the U.S. illegally out of the country. He has recently been working for a nonprofit corporation called We Build the Wall Incorporated, which has been raising private money to build Trump's wall. Cuccinelli has advocated for denying citizenship for American-born children of parents living in the U.S. illegally, limiting in-state tuition at public universities only to those who are citizens or legally residents, and allowing workers to file lawsuits when an employer knowingly hires someone living in the country illegally for taking a job from a law-abiding competitor. Thomas Homan, the former acting ICE director, has also been mentioned as a potential pick, according to one of the people familiar with the talks.
What could the weather be out like today?
Well, that's a good question. Here to provide us with the first look at the weather is Jessica Hill.
Thank you, guys. So we have some fun stuff coming up today for the current conditions and our weather.
It looks like we're going to have where it feels like 29, and it's going to be mostly sunny, thankfully. I know I love the sun out there. With a high of 51, the UV rating, wear sunglasses, it's up there. Air quality excellent, and the pollen's low, even though we're getting into spring, so that's a good thing. 41, we're going to have 3 miles per hour, humidity 57, so worry about the big hair. And sunrise is at 7:06, and the sunset will be at 7:49. So even though it is going to be colder out there today, at least it's going to be sunny out, so you can wear your hoodies and have a great day. Back to you guys at the desk.
Okay. So, the UN chief negotiator, Michael Barnier, warned Tuesday that Britain's disorderly exit from the European Union is becoming more likely by the day unless the UK drastically changes its spiraling course towards a no-deal Brexit. Exiting without a deal in place would jeopardize trade and travel overnight, with checks on the new border and new regulations on dealing with Britain and the 27 remaining EU nations. Not everything will be smooth, and there will be problems. Being prepared means that all unforeseen problems should be manageable on the EU side, Barnier said. With just 11 days until the UK must come up with a new plan or crash out of the bloc in chaos, the House of Commons on Monday threw out 4 options designed to replace May's thrice-rejected Brexit deal, though in some cases it was close. The vote left May's Conservative government facing difficulty and risky choices, and it can gamble on the 4th attempt to push through Parliament and let Britain tumble out of the bloc without a deal, or roll the dice by seeking a snap election to shake up the Parliament. May has summoned her cabinet for a marathon session as the government tries to find out a way out of the crisis. The cabinet is scheduled to meet for 4 or 5 hours Tuesday amidst calls for the co-promise to prevent a potentially devastating no-deal exit.
4 people were found dead Monday in what police called a multiple homicide at a North Dakota property management business. The bodies of 3 men and 1 woman were discovered inside the RJR Maintenance and Management in Madan, a city of about 22,000 just across the Missouri River west of Bismarck. Police Chief Jason Ziegler said the victims weren't immediately identified and the police didn't say how they died. Officers were combing through the building, which includes an office area in the front and a large warehouse area in the back, and plan to be there. As long as it takes us to get everything that we need, the chief said. Ziegler said someone other than the 4 people who were found dead is responsible for the killings. However, police have not yet identified a suspect and have no motive. The crime scene is contained to where it's at, and there is no evidence based upon what we see that the public at large is in any danger from what happened there, Ziegler said. It looks like an isolated incident. He said he was not aware of officers responding to any other recent incidents at the business that might have been connected to the killings.
Coming up, lawmakers continue efforts to reach deals on gas, tax increase, Ohio Attorney General to oppose the healthcare new law ruling, and the Ohio bill that would end concealed carry gun requirements.
We'll be right back after the break.
I never chew tobacco.
I don't drink much.
Never smoked a cigarette in my life.
HPV. Isn't that about cervical cancer?
What does that have to do with oral cancer?
HPV? Didn't know that.
A joint Senate House committee was scheduled to resume meeting Tuesday morning to iron out differences between their plans for the State Department of Transportation's budget, as the Ohio House and Senate lawmakers are set to continue their efforts to reach a compromise on raising the state gas tax to fix deteriorating roads and bridges. Governor Mike DeWine and House Speaker Larry Householder, both Republicans, announced the deal last Thursday under the gas tax would rise by 11 cents per gallon and diesel fuel by 20 cents, but Senate lawmakers haven't agreed to that.
Police say a 14-year-old girl has been fatally shot in Ohio. The Canton Police Department say the Canton Fire Department, responding to a report of an unconscious person around 4 a.m. on Saturday, found the girl in an alley. Authorities say she had been shot in the head. The repository in Canton reports that Harry Campbell, an investigator with the Stark County Coroner's Office, said the girl was pronounced dead at the scene. Police say the teen has been identified as Sylvia McGee, an 8th grade student in the Canton City School District in northeast Ohio City.
Law-abiding Ohioans aged 21 and older could legally carry hidden firearms without getting permits, under a proposal introduced by House Republicans and supported by GOP Governor Mike DeWine. Currently, 16 states that allow, but Ohioans want to legally carry concealed firearms have to pass a background check, receive 8 hours of training, and get a permit. Republican reps Ron Hood of Asheville and Tom Brinkman of Cincinnati have tried repeatedly to change the law through so-called constitutional carry legislation that has failed to pass. The Fraternity Order of Police and anti-gun violence activists oppose the idea. The bill would also end a requirement that people carrying concealed weapons notify police that if they are stopped by officers. Ohio already allows people to openly carry firearms without permits.
Ohio's Republican Attorney General said Thursday he will file a court brief opposing a federal judge's ruling that declared the Affordable Care Act unconstitutional, potentially leaving nearly 2 million state residents with pre-existing medical conditions without health insurance should the decision be upheld. Attorney General Dave Yost told the Associated Press that U.S. District Judge Reed O'Connor in December got it wrong when he struck down former President Barack Obama's signature health care law after Congress eliminated the individual mandate. The mandate required people without health insurance to pay fines. Democratic attorney generals from 17 states appealed O'Connor's ruling in January at the 5th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, where Yost said he planned next Monday to file an amicus brief in support of requiring insurers to provide coverage for those with pre-existing medical conditions. Both Yost and Ohio Republican Governor Mike DeWine have said that they are opposed to fining people who were uninsured. Yost said he spoke with DeWine, who also supports maintaining coverage for those with pre-existing conditions, on Tuesday. DeWine spokesman Dan Tierney said Thursday that should the Affordable Care Act ultimately be overturned, DeWine would ask the state legislature to take steps to ensure that Ohioans with pre-existing conditions be able to obtain health insurance.
Coming up next, bridge construction, drug court, and severe weather.
We'll have this story and more after the break.
And you can't forget about the weather. I'll have your 5-day forecast coming up and so much more right after the break.
Where are we?
We're at Marietta College.
This is where we live at Marietta College.
bridge that connects McConnelsville and Malta will be undergoing construction starting this week. Repairs were called for when the surface and portions of the wall of the bridge had experienced some weather raising. Possible concerns, estimated time of repair is said to be between 6 months, with one-lane closure on the bridge continuing through the end of October. Students in the McConnelsville area are said to experience up to half an hour of added time to their commute.
Washington County Common Pleas Drug Court is beginning to file its 30 available program positions. However, growth has continued at a slow pace since its introduction 7 weeks prior. The program is designed for individuals who wish to undergo rehabilitation rather than serve time in jail. It was stated by the court if an individual was offered the program, they would maintain a minimum 14-month intense sobriety accountability with the court.
As a part of a 7-week warning of a Awareness Week, many states are taking precautions in testing warning systems. The West Virginia Weather Preparedness Committee is set to test states' warning sirens and both radio and TV broadcast alerts on Tuesday, March 19th. But that's already passed. So all the local business residents in the past in nursing homes and government facilities are encouraged to participate in this practice, which they did, and it ended up great.
Well, it's great that ended up great.
Yeah, no, it was. I mean, we just had to go ahead and update it. I mean, some people didn't know, so we had to let them know. But we're going to go ahead and hop over to the entertainment news with Jess Hill.
Hello, over here in entertainment. I'm doing 2 roles today, and the Eagles, great band, will perform their 1967 Hotel California album in its entirety in concert for the first time. Live Nation said it will take place on September 27th and 28th at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. Tickets will go on sale through Ticketmaster on April 12th. Don Henley, Joe Walsh, and Timothy B. Schmidt will be joined by Deacon Frey and Vince Gill for what will be the group's only North American performance of 2019. Founding member Glenn Frey, Deacon's father, died in 2016. Hotel California is the 3rd best-selling U.S. album in history, and the title song and New Kid in the Town won Grammys. And fire-breathing dragons held court over the world's famous fountains at the Belingo Casino Resort Sunday, as familiar elements from the TV phenomenon Game of Thrones were projected on the rising water. The Jets danced to the score, incorporating the recognizable theme song before one of the colossal beasts lit up the lake along the Las Vegas Strip. In a blaze of photo technicians, the 3.5-minute spectacle left a cloud of onlookers cheering, debunked 2 weeks ahead of schedule premiere of the HBO fantasy series' final season. The streaming water formed the show's iconic throne and a crown, a towering 800-foot-long, 244-meter wall of water emerged from the lake. The display, however, intentionally did not reveal any of the elements from the new season. We didn't just want to portray literal scenes from Game of Thrones here, not like a teaser or a preview of Season 8, said Mark Fuller, CEO of Wet Design, the company that created the fountains and the show. We want to bring you the emotion at the heart of the fountain show is the giant wall of water. It represents the ice wall that defines the show, but also serves as a surface onto which the creators project falling snow, the series logo, and the silhouettes of dragon breathing orange and blue flames. The Belingo Fountain is iconic. It is known around the world, and so is Game of Thrones. The special fountain show will run nightly until April 13th, the day before the 8th season premiere. In Hollywood, I'm Jessica Hill.
Thank you, Jessica, for a look at the weather. And now here's a look back at her.
Yeah, what's the weather look like outside today?
So here we go. Here's what we have going on in our region of the country right now. There's not that much participation, thankfully. It looks like it's going down more in that region. There's some moving in, possibly, if the winds continue. But here we are. We got some low temperatures. It looks like everything's probably in the lower 50s right now, especially in our region in Ohio. But as you can see, it's going to be warming up a little bit. It looks like it might get into the high 60s because we're kind of like down in this little area, so it might warm up a little bit there eventually. And then here we are. Definitely, you can see not really a lot going on for us right now. We don't really have that much participation. No snow, no rain coming in, thankfully, that we have coming up right now. And then here we go with the 5-day forecast that we have. And on Wednesday, it's going to have a high of 57 and a low of 36. So it's going to be a lot colder out there, but at least it's going to be sunny. And then Thursday, we're going to have a high of 62 and a low of 39, mostly sunny. Definitely need to wear your jackets out there this week. And then Friday, we're going to have a high of 62 and a low of 49 with rain showers, a raincoat day. It's not really warming up that much, guys. And then Saturday, we're going to have a high of 72 and a low of 51 with mostly cloudy. Might start to get into some hoodie weather, hopefully. Sunday with a high of 76 and a low of 58 and rain. So it looks like it's warming up throughout the week, but then it's also getting progressively more precipitation, so that when it's the warmest, it's also the rainiest. So take your pick on whether you'd rather be cold or wet and weather. I'm Jessica Hill.
Thank you very
so
much. I'm surprised we're not getting a lot of thunderstorms.
You know, I would be too. I mean, when you think about it.
That tends to happen when the temperatures fluctuate like that.
Very true, very true.
Oh, by the way, you owe me a soda. We said that at the same time at the beginning.
Well, I'm broke, Landon.
Okay, I'll pay for it.
When we come back, we'll have John from the latest in the world of sports.
Stay with us.
Well, let's go ahead and head over to John for the scoop.
What's going on, John?
Oh, quite a bit. Nine-seeded Belendia Benek of Switzerland opened play at the Volvo Car Open with a 6-3, 6-0 victory over Australia's Destiny Aveva on Monday at the WTA's first clay court event of the season. Latvia's Jelena Ostapenko, the 10th seed, opened play at the Volvo Car Open with a 6-1, 6-4 victory over Joanna Larsson of Sweden on Monday at the WTA's first clay court tournament of the season. Gino Awerema and his Yukon Huskies will face a familiar foe in Notre Dame on the game's grandest stage of two teams who have the best rivalry in sport over the past decade, will square off on Friday night in the Final Four. It's the second consecutive year that they will play in the national semifinals. The Irish won a thriller last year, topping UConn in overtime on a last-second shot by Eric Olajuwon-Bolo. John Tavares didn't acknowledge gaining any satisfaction from scoring against his former team. His focus was just on helping the Toronto Maple Leafs get into the playoffs. Tavares scored on the third period, and the Maple Leafs clinched their postseason berth with a 2-1 victory over the New York Islanders on Monday night. It's just nice to help contribute to a win that got us officially in the playoffs, Tavares said. That's what matters the most.
Thank you, John. Now joining us at the desk is going to be Jessica for our last look at the actual weather.
So it looks like it's going to be warming up as we get closer to the weekend.
Yes, it's definitely going to be warming up, but it's also, like I said, it's going to be raining more, so take your pick about whether you want the warm weather or you want the rain.
I just hope we don't get flooding in the rivers again.
I don't think it should be that severe. It just said light rain, so we should be okay. Hopefully there won't be any flooding. Just drive safe in the rain, everybody.
Well, at least I know how to swim.
That's a good skill to have.
That's it for today's broadcast. For all of us here at WCMO, thank you for watching today and throughout the semester. We hope that you and your families have a wonderful day. NewsCenter 15 will be returning